Okay, as usual, you get to jump aboard halfway through a project or beyond halfway. We've got the bronze liners all turned for the ID, and we've just heated this one up and dropped it on this here rudder stock. We've got the warning to ourselves and others that it's still a little toasty. And there's another rudder stock that we have to cut the end off, put that little retainer groove in, and then put the keyways in. Then we can put another one of those bronze liners on there. 4 total. Okay, there's the rudder stock we're going to throw on the lathe right now. It's just come from the welding department, and it's still got a nut welded on one end. There's no center feature in there, and neither is there one on the other end. We'll probably put one in there after we're done facing it. We have to face this surface and this surface, and there's a pilot diameter here that has to be about 120 thousandths proud of this face here, so you can just see the remainder of it. These are the original flanges. I sawed off the flange, or the shaft, and then stuck it in the lathe, centered it up, trued it up, parted it, and then drilled it, bored it, weld prepped it on both sides, weld prepped the bar, give it to the welding department, and then they give it back to me looking like this. So it just occurred to me that this might be of some interest to some of you, hopefully. So fortunately, this lathe has a spindle bore that's just over 3 inches, so we can pass the bar stock through. And it took a long time from when I started in the shop to when I finally got around to building this, but I should have built it on the first day I was here. I just sort of guessed at the metric threads that are on there, and it screws into the threads that are in the spindle, and then there's a couple of screws that create a spider on the far end of the headstock here. There it is installed. Of course, there's the lathe chuck over there on the headstock. There's the far side, so almost like a hollow spindle lathe. If you don't have one of those, you work with longer bar stock once in a while. If it can pass through the headstock, slap something like that together. Even if you don't have internal threads, you can just clamp to the spindle. The concentricity of this doesn't matter at all. You can just, all you're doing is truing up the stock with the screws. So this could be out a country mile as long as it doesn't have enough mass to throw the whole spindle out of balance. It really doesn't have to be fancy or precision or even all that nice. It can be just horrible as long as you can adjust your material into the center of the dial indicator. Just treat it like a 4-jaw chuck. And speaking of 4 jaws, we've got the 4-jaw mounted on this side, so we'll kick the steady rust out of the way and slam the part in here. So there I've got the material in the chuck and roughly centered it up in the jaws there. Got partway snugged up. So it's running out 2 thou. That's just fine. Now you go over to that end. So now you come over to this end, and it helps when the cover of your machine is steel. Set up your indicator and zero this up just as you would any 4-jaw chuck. It helps if you make up a little bit of a spanner to clear the cover on the lathe there, and then you can work that screw just like you would a 4-jaw, and it zeroes up pretty quick. So I've got the far end down there running within a 1/2 thou now, and this was at about 2 thou, and it's got up towards of 4.5. So we'll zero this up again. And then we got this down to about a 1/2 or 1. Went to the far end, got that under 1 thou, came back and did this one last time, and this is the result. So this end's been touched 3 times, and the far end's been touched twice. So that is acceptable as far as I'm concerned. Okay, we faced it both there, and we created a little step that indexes into a pilot diameter in the rudder itself, and then just in case we need it later, we threw a center hole in there. Now we swap it around to work on the other end. And it bears mentioning again that these square corners are just a huge risk to health and safety. So, you know, if you ever got a square object hanging out of a lathe, be especially careful to stay the heck away from it, because the lathes are bad enough as it is, but a square object in it is just terrible. We're done with the spindle spider for now, but we're going to leave the hub wound in on its threads. That's fine. We take the bolts out so they don't go zinging across the shop.